Let's talk about the importance of taking care of your Pfaff Ambition 610 sewing machine. So I'm actually going to show you how to take apart your throat plate and your bobbin case and clean out underneath it, because there are fabrics that are linty. What are some linty fabrics? We're talking flannels and fleeces. If you sew anything with batting, that's going to all gather up underneath this throat plate, and it can lead to stitches not forming correctly on your fabric. Maybe you get a little light loop on top instead of a straight flat stitch. Maybe your thread breaks just in the middle of your sewing. Those are things that can be affected if you haven't taken time to clean it out. Now, one thing you can do, I know some people are like, oh, I turned my machine off or I unplug it. If you want the light on, just unplug your foot control. Your foot control then won't run the machine, but you can still have the lights on for viewing. So we're going to start by taking out our bobbin. We're also going to take out your needle. So if it's been a while since you've changed the needle, let's plan for this needle to go away and a new needle to replace it. Next, if you're using thread that you are noticing has a lot of lint, if you pull this spool off the top and pull that thread back up through the machine, it's going to bring that lint up through the tension discs, and over time that's not going to be the greatest thing. So, easiest thing to do, take your scissors, cut your thread, and pull your thread out the normal direction. So you're not pulling anything up and through the machine. Next, just for ease, it's easiest, just take your foot off. That's easy. There are two screwdrivers in this machine. There's a short one, which is perfect for taking out the screws that are holding on the throat plate. So usually what I'll do is just give them a little twist, get them loosened up, and then just use my fingers to kind of twist them out a little further. Now, once we take this throat plate off, make sure you don't blow into this machine. Don't use canned air. Don't just feel obligated to kind of get any lint out of the way. You don't want to blow anything into the machine. So make sure that once you take your throat plate off, the next thing we're going to do, and before I take it out, I want to point out, see that circle right down in the middle of the bobbin case? That kind of looks like there's a piece of lint in there. Well, it's actually a place to oil. And I know this machine doesn't come with oil, but you can buy some just real light soy machine oil from your local soy machine retailer and put a couple drops in there. You can do that just without even taking this throat plate off. You can even do it when the bobbin is being replaced. But what we do want to do is lift out the bobbin case. Now, right through this area, all through here, is where you're going to notice the lint to be gathering around the bobbin case. So I have a little, not much, but just enough that you're going to brush it out. This is the brush that comes with the machine. You can use a Q-tip, you could use a makeup brush, just whatever you do, you are sucking it, you're getting it out of the machine. I said sucking, so how about a miniature vacuum attachment where you can get in and just clean that all out of that part. So if you can see it, get it out, that's the easiest to do. So next, if you do want to put a couple drops of oil on there, that's a little wick and it'll travel to where it needs to go. It's like magic, but put a couple drops of oil in there. Oh, I see a little extra lint I can get out of the way. All right. Good. Okay, so the key to putting the bobbin case in correctly, look for the kind of two little points. They're going to point directly to the back of the machine. But the key is right here. See this little heel? There's a place where it's going to sit and it's going to bounce up against this spring. So when you set it into the round opening, and just kind of wiggle it until it drops all the way in, and you can tell that it's super flush along that. Should have a little bit of a wiggle, but it's going to touch that spring part. I will tell you, it is possible to get it on the opposite side, and then that's just not pretty. It just won't work, and it's not fun to try to get it fixed. So just go ahead and make sure you look right here and you know it is in correctly. So we're just really reassembling. The edge of the throat plate has this little kind of tongue sticking out, kind of hug it underneath the edge of the machine and then find where it sits down nice and evenly. So when I go in and put everything back, the one thing I like to tell my students is plan to put the needle in last, and you'll see why. So how often do you need to do this? I would say every 2 to 3 bobbins that you use. You're going to kind of know when the machine starts to kind of growl at you, it doesn't stitch right, maybe it's fighting you a couple times and you're starting to sew. Get in. If you haven't changed the needle, that's the first thing to change. But if it's been a while since you've peeked underneath this throat plate, that's all you have to do. I mean, it's 2 screws and it's clean. It's not hard, but you do have to take the time to do it. Then we do talk about once a year, having your machine cleaned and serviced by your local Pfaff retailer. That will make sure that it stays in top running condition for years to come. So trust me, especially if you haven't used it for a while, if it's been sitting in a sewing room and for 3 years it hasn't been used, trust me, have it serviced before you sit down for your next project. Everything dries out inside the machine and you can eliminate future problems by having it serviced and re-lubricated, and then it's ready to go. Okay, I said to put the needle in last, and this is why. I put the foot on and then I'm going to put my needle in, and that's because it will help guide me to where that needle actually needs to go up into the machine. The other thing that you do have is your little multi-purpose tool, which allows you to drop the needle in, keep the flat side to the back, drop the tip of the needle into the foot first, and then you can lift it straight up into position. And see how I'm able to push it up as high as it'll go. And then when I take my screwdriver to actually tighten up the needle screw, make sure you don't over tighten it. There's a happy medium. You need to get it in so it doesn't come out, but we don't want to over tighten it that you break this over time, trust me. Now the way to double check that your needle is as high as it needs to go is to make sure you use your needle threader when you thread the machine. If the needle threader and the eye of the needle meet without any resistance, you know you've done it correctly. So we're going to just go ahead, thread up the machine and test it out to make sure that everything is put back together correctly. It sounds good. We are set for another couple bobbins of sewing.